Welcome back to the Lipoedema Podcast. We are your hosts, Shell
and Tiana. And in today's episode, we're going to chat about some interesting comorbidities that might coincide with lipedema.
Yeah, because I think when we first hear of lipedema and then we're like, oh, and this weird thing happens and this weird thing, and we all start talking and it's like, oh, me too. And then we find out that all of these things are connected in some crazy way. Like, it's like our fascia is this web and it's then bringing in all of these other things that are going on in us.
Yeah, I think because I don't share some of them that you present with and some of our other lipedema warriors present with, but I think the most obvious one is lymphedema.
Yeah.
And there's an argument as to whether lipedema and lymphedema are always intertwined. And I think Professor Cheyenne believes that there is lymphedema within lipedema.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, from my experience with when I had my surgeries with Dr. Teo and Lipedema Surgical Solutions, there was evidence, according to Dr. Teo, of lymphedema within my lipedema. So from personal speaking, that makes sense to me, but apparently that's not always the case. There's not always lymphedema.
Yeah, well, that's what some of the research is saying, but there's a lot of people debunking or disputing that, that there is, because it's lipodema, there's an edema component to it. I'm not a very swollen person. I don't get a lot of fluid, but when I go for an MLD, you can see the difference if I've had MLD.
And when you were wearing compression consistently, you lost, was it inches?
Yeah. I lost heaps. And my back shelf has gone.
So there's got to
be a fluid component to it. Yeah. But I didn't get a lymphedema diagnosis.
Yeah, okay.
With mine. But then I haven't gone that far into it, I guess, too. I've gone right down the surgery route, so maybe that
comes.
Yeah.
And you go further in moving towards your surgery, because in terms of lymphedema, it's a different code for the surgery that is recognized by Medicare, and you get some money back. It's not a huge rebate, but if you have lymphedema removal liposuction, then there is some. And from my understanding, it's only in the legs. So when you get surgery in your legs, if you have lymphedema and they use the code for lymphedema removal liposuction or whatever that title is, then you get Medicare rebate. But if you had arm surgery, I don't think you can use lymphedema to get rebates. And same with the stomach. Now, I'm happy for someone to contact us and say, no, that's incorrect. You can. But from my understanding, it's just the legs.
Okay. And the rebate you would get, so you'd be able to claim your hospital. Is that?
No, I think it's a rebate on the liposuction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the hospital is a private health thing.
Yeah.
I believe. But the code that the surgeon uses to say what procedure they're doing, that's the code used, whether it's lymphedema present or not. So it's liposuction. Unfortunately, if you have lipedema and no lymphedema, or your surgeon might not use the code for lymphedema, I'm not sure, but because lipedema doesn't have a Medicare number or anything, it doesn't have a Medicare rebate. But lymphedema is a proper diagnosis. So if you have lymphedema as part of that code, then you get a rebate for the actual procedure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please get in touch if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You can just comment on the post or whatever, because, but that's my understanding.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Okay, so lymphedema is a big one, and there is actually isn't lymphedema. There's a combination.
Lipolymphedema, yeah.
Lipolymphedema. Is that what you would?
I think for ease, I would probably describe myself as someone with lipolymphedema. Yeah.
Okay.
But then if it's only in the legs, according to Medicare, I've had leg surgery and removed lipedema tissue. I don't know if I now have lipolymphedema, because I definitely have lipedema in my arms and some lipedema in my stomach. But if they're telling me that lymphedema, which goes with the lipedema, so you can have lymphedema on its own, primary lymphedema, But do I call myself lipolymphedema now?
Well, do you still have lymphedema in one of your legs? Because isn't it only one side?
Well, they say that it's more so one side, but when Dr. Teo was looking at my legs, the lymphedema was part of the lipedema. Like it wasn't just one.
Okay.
Yeah. And Kimmy Caddy and I think way back when she discussed, because she has primary lymphedema, I think that I also have primary lymphedema as well,
Okay.
because I remember before my lipedema exacerbated that I would be very swollen and then go back. And it wasn't just one limb. It was like my whole body would go swollen and then I would go back, and I could fluctuate in size dramatically from day to day.
But that makes sense, because although they say lymphedema is generally just one limb, your lymphatic system is throughout your body. So how would just one lot of vessels not be working properly?
Yeah, it doesn't make total sense to me either. Like, I suppose from a financial perspective and from a political perspective, you have to define it so definitively in order to get, rebates off. Yeah, so like I get it from a political perspective, but also we need answers as, people who present with these conditions as to what it really is. Do we really have it? How do we manage it? All of that. Yeah.
Oh, it's a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot. What other comorbidities?
It is like hypermobility.
Ehlers-Danlos
syndrome.
Yeah. And is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome hypermobility, or can you have hypermobility, or is it a spectrum?
It's a spectrum.
Okay.
My
so
understanding
hypermobility is like here,
spectrum.
and Ehlers-Danlos would be the more severe case of that?
Yes.
Right.
I would think so.
Okay.
It was quite weird. So we've just been on a holiday, and my daughter came up to me. She has hypermobility like I do. And she came up to me and she pulled the skin off her arm. She goes,
So stretchy.
what's going on here? I went, oh, yeah, that's idiot. And she's like, yeah. And I said, oh, and then she's Googling it. She goes, bloody hell, what else are you going to give me?
I don't have that either.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't have really stretchy skin.
But yeah, she pulled the skin off her arm, and I was like, oh, that's
crazy.
That's crazy. I'll have to video it. It was quite weird.
Yeah.
Quite weird. Is it? Because that's a connective tissue.
Gotcha.
So is it that you have more collagen, so you're more elastic?
Yeah, that would make
the same
sense
with like
to
your
me.
joints, like they're more elastic and looser.
So you'd be prone, if you had something like that, you'd be much more prone to injuries.
Yes.
Unless you focused on strength training, so your muscles were constantly supporting.
Yeah, I
your
think
joints.
that's why I always get hurt at the gym as much as I love the gym. If I don't have the correct form, because my hips are so loose, I end up hurting my hips and lower back. I don't generally, my arms never seem to be affected. It's mainly my hips, my hip joints. Because, I used to do party tricks when I was like 16 and do the splits and do stupid things without warming up because, hey, look, and pop my hips out. I'd be like, oh, look, my hip pops out. It'd kill me, but I thought I was pretty cool. But
hypermobility would have really done me really well with my dancing career. But no luck for me.
It skipped you.
Skipped me. Yeah, plain old lipedema.
Yeah, lipedema.
The other thing that I had in my head about comorbidities that are often within our cohort is POTS.
POTS, yeah?
Yeah. And you faint or you feel is it, I'm not quite sure what it actually is.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like, is that like a drop of blood pressure? Drop of blood pressure. So you, a lot of people feel the heat a lot, like heat really affects them. So because I sometimes think I might have a mild case of it, but I can go in the sauna. Most times I can go in the sauna, not a problem.
Yeah.
But when I go to leave the sauna, I might get a little bit lightheaded.
Yep.
But being in the sauna doesn't, it's not like, oh, I need to get out.
Yeah.
I'm fine. So, but I do, if I stand up quickly, I do get dizzy quite often.
Too.
Yeah.
I get dizzy when I stand up. Although, upon reflection, it hasn't happened a lot recently. But the heat intolerance, I find there's an intention behind it. So if I'm going to a sauna, the intention behind it is to get hot.
Yeah.
So I don't find that I feel unwell.
You can tolerate it more because you're doing it for a reason, as opposed to
it's 35 degrees and humid. And I'm walking around the street.
Yeah.
I have intolerance to that heat.
Yeah.
To feel like
So
I
in a
don't have
controlled environment.
I feel like I definitely don't have POTS because like the intention can pull me into tolerance.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I gotcha. I understand where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's interesting because I have heard that POTS is, not part of it. That's a strong association. But if you have EDS, if you have lipedema, if you have lymphedema, and you have POTS, and there's something happening.
Yeah, all the mechanisms interplay there somewhere.
Yeah.
They all interplay. And the same with, I think it might be hypermobility, but like bumping into things, like being a bit clumsy.
Yeah.
That's got something to do with it all too. Like your proprioception is off.
Yeah.
Like your sense of where you are in space and time can be a bit, how you going?
That happens to me at certain times of my menstrual cycle. I get really clumsy.
Yeah.
Like I get the drops. Like I drop things and it's frustrating. And like my tolerance for life is really low. So when I drop something, I'm like, but that's not something that I'm just doing a lifestyle thing.
I get it though. I get it.
But there's a lot of psychological ones as well.
Oh yeah. So ADHD is a huge one, and like within ADHD you also have like anxiety and social anxiety and stuff in there too. And I think, was it like 75% of women with lipedema have self-diagnosed as ADHD.
Wow.
And that is huge. Like I very highly, not highly suspect, I know I have ADHD. My kids have been diagnosed. I wouldn't actually be surprised if I have autism, ADHD as well, which that might be something I look into this year. But so with ADHD, for me, I need systems.
Yeah, okay.
I need systems in place. And so this morning I arrived here and I realized I hadn't put deodorant on. So the reason is I just got home from a holiday and I had used up all of my Sukin hydrating mist. So when I hop out of the shower, once I get dry, I Sukin hydrating mist, deodorant, and then moisturize.
But the system is broken.
The system's broken. So I just went straight to moisturize because my system wasn't in place. And I've taken my kids to psychologists over the years and that's what they say. Like you need rituals and you need sequences and you need procedures. Because like it's saying to a kid, oh, you didn't pick that up, or that doesn't help because they don't know. They don't know that
see it.
They don't see it.
Yeah.
And my husband complains about our kids because, like, say my daughter's making a coffee and she doesn't just do a basic coffee. She does her coffee, then she gets a caramel sachet thing, and then she whizzes up her milk. And like, so there's so many steps involved in her coffee. But then she just walks away with her coffee cup. So you've got milk on the bench, you've got the sachet thingy on the bench, you've got the dirty spoon on the bench. Like everything is just left because in her mind, she's finished.
She's made her coffee.
She's got her
Job
coffee.
done.
So the process was to get to a coffee. I've got to my coffee. See you later. And that's just because the time thing with ADHD, like we have time blindness, like we'll get into something and just hyperfixate. But then we also have this time thing where we do short spurts, like we'll start something, finish, stop it, and it's finished.
Yeah.
It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't
That's
exist anymore. So instead of some, like a neurotypical would be like have this continual timeline, ours isn't. Ours is like these little snippets of time throughout, and they don't go together. So yeah, it's having
and there's systems within each of those.
Systems within each.
That's fascinating.
And so like my son, we used to have a dog, and when he went to feed the dog, he'd turn the light on and go outside and feed her, even if it was the morning, because that was his process. I turn the light on, I go downstairs, unlock the door, and I feed the dog. So even though the sun's telling him he doesn't need to put the light on, his process is to put the light on.
Yeah. Wow.
Because that was, and so we went to the psychologist with him when he wanted to get a part-time job, because he was really worried that he wouldn't understand that, like he wanted some skills in place. And that was what the psychologist said to him. He said, first of all, when you go, tell them that you have issues with your working memory and stuff like that, and that you need to build in these systems. He said, and record everything they tell you, just voice notes on your phone so you can go back to it. And that really worked for him. So he's been working at McDonald's now for 2 years, and he's in the back area, and he's just running that back area. He's got his system.
Yeah. And when they work,
if someone gets in the way of the system, then shit hits the fan. It's like all over.
Yeah, it's so funny because each presentation that we're talking about today, I don't identify with a lot of that presentation, but there's some parts that I really identify with. Like, I definitely need symptoms, but I don't believe I have ADHD at all. And a lot of like my confirmation of that is because stimulants really affect me, and I get really like hyper on stimulants, whereas I believe that ADHD brain goes calmer and more focused on those. Yeah. So like that's one thing that's a massive tell for me, that I don't have those. But if someone interrupts my systems, there's such a barrier with me continuing in like a harmonious way.
Yeah.
Like I really struggle to pivot.
Yeah.
And I find like it's not an ADHD thing, but it's part of that.
The spectrum.
Yeah, the spectrum.
It could even be like a high functioning anxiety.
100%. And
to manage your anxiety
and depression.
You have those systems in place to manage your anxiety as well.
Yeah, yeah.
You got two presentations, and then you have a combined presentation. So you have your
would the hyper one be more the masculine presentation? Because isn't the female presentation of ADHD very different to the male presentation of ADHD?
Absolutely, with autism, and yeah, probably with ADHD as well. And girls with ADHD are very good at masking. They're very good mimickers, whereas boys aren't.
Yeah.
Whereas girls, they're like, oh, I'm supposed to act that way. That's how I need to act.
Yeah.
Boys are just being boys.
Yeah, they're just themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, unapologetic.
Sorry, so it's hyperactive. Oh my goodness, I'm going to Google it. Why did that word just leave me again?
I saw it.
Inattentive ADHD. There you go. I didn't even have to Google it because it just came to me.
And inattentive.
Yes. So my kids are inattentive.
So like
predominantly. Yeah. Whereas your hyperactive impulsive is the other one. Whereas my kids are more inattentive. Like they go into their own heads and
the fairies.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I mean, and we can't talk about like presenting comorbidities or whatever we want to call it. I think comorbidities is a really strong word, but like presenting things, diagnoses, without talking about things like disordered eating, including binge eating and restriction and that kind of thing.
That orthorexia.
Oh, yeah. Pardon me. Yes. Yeah. And I suppose I wonder whether a lot of us have, flexed in and out of a few of those.
Yeah, for sure.
But like under the auspice of like disordered eating.
Yeah.
So like I've definitely flexed into binge eating.
Okay.
I've definitely flexed into orthorexia. But like I've not gone. It's funny because it's all on the spectrum and they're looking for a particular part of the spectrum to intervene medically. And I've never been on the spectrum where medical intervention is required.
Yeah,
therefore you're sort of like without anything.
Yeah.
To turn this off.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Like I have had disordered eating most of my life and orthorexia as well, like always trying to find that magic bullet, but yeah, never enough to need any medical intervention or anything like that. But I am seeing a psychologist at the moment, and that is like my relationship with food is definitely something that we're going to talk to together, because like I was saying to him, like I know all the things to say. It's like part of my ADHD is I know what people want to hear. I've masked so beautifully that I can be that, body neutral, I can do anything person, even though in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, they're going to know I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
They're going to know that I'm seriously, doubting myself right now.
Yeah. The masks. And the high functioning presenting complaint, like,
Yeah.
Because we all have to live in society and fit into the box. And unless you're part of the spectrum that requires medical intervention, usually you are high functioning because you have to. You have no choice. I identify with because I've had a psychologist for quite a while and I rationalize everything and logicalize everything. So, and then like flip it. So I'm like, here's the emotions that I'm dealing with, but I understand that blah, and I understand that blah, and I recognize that blah, and then, and it's all because of blah, and you just rationalize and then it's like, why don't I even come? I literally come here to hear myself talk. So then like I feel
what
like
do they say to you?
do they say like all I have to do is like spill my guts, so then I hear it back and then I'm like, that was fun, I feel good, then walk away.
You.
Yeah. Next time.
And Tiana walks out and puts her mask back on.
Yeah. High functioning. All the time. Functioning my ass off, I am.
I'm just feeling, if you could hear some of the shit that goes on in my head sometimes, you'd be like, who is this woman? That's not what I see.
She's not the one presented in front of us. Yeah. It's like Men in Black where they're walking around in human skins, but they're actually these big monsters. We're really digressing away from our topic, but I think this is actually quite a fun cathartic.
We're just these big brains full of overthinking thoughts that just
drive myself absolutely nuts. When things are like less functioning, I sit there outside of myself and go, I am so sick of myself. Like, I'm so sick of myself. The bullshit, just cut it out. Stop it. Put me down. I'm just so sick of it. But I suppose that's a good thing where you can step outside.
Self-reflect.
Yeah.
Self-reflection is always good.
Always good, yeah. A bit of humour too.
Yeah, a lot of humour.
Self-deprecation, humour, it's all good fun. We continue on our way. Go on. I don't know how all of these episodes that we have together, I don't know how to end them. I feel like there's no
bookend.
Yeah, there's no bookend. We need to create a bookend.
We need to create one.
Yeah. It could just be like a jingle. Da, 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 da. Stop. Please don't. Yeah, we're not doing that again.
We're not doing that?
Yeah, you'll never see that from me again, I promise. But yeah, it's interesting. If you have, if there's any others that come to mind, because what did we do? We did lymphedema, EDS, POTS. We did ADHD, and then anxiety, depression, disordered eating.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot. Gosh, we deal with a lot.
We deal with a lot.
You know.
I was just trying to, where did she go? I just saw this lady put something up yesterday. Where did she go? And she was saying about things that go together. Hypermobility.
See, this is real time. This is real time brainstorming. This is what we do.
Oh, no.
It's hypermobility.
Oh, yeah. POTS, MCAS. Mast cell activation.
That was a really sexy topic in last year's Lipoedema Australia conference, mast cell activation. And we yet to have found someone to speak to this with their professional opinion on our podcast, but it's definitely on our list.
Yes, it is. It is.
Histamines, right? That's a histamine.
It's all part of, they're all in there together. And I 100% have MCAS. And I remember going to my doctor because I had this huge flare up, my shins were just on fire and it was just awful. It was like welts on my shins and I had no reason for it. And I said, I think it's mast cell activation. He goes, that's too hard to test. I went,
thanks so much.
Just put this cream on it. Okay.
Here's your $80. Yeah, so hard. And then, I think I remember Dr. Karen Herbst at the Lymphedema Australia conference talking about it and how it is very hard to diagnose because there's so many forms of its presentation.
But she also did say that just medicate yourself for it, take supplements.
Antihistamines?
Yeah, there was something else. I can't remember. Maybe when we get our specialist on, we'll ask them. But there was, I think it wasn't just antihistamines. It was something you could take.
I'm sure we talked about it during our conference recaps. So if you go back to our conference recaps episodes, we definitely spoke about Dr. Herbst's talk on mast cell activation and that the supplement or whatever we definitely spoke about. Can't remember what it is, but it's there.
I might go have a look so I can put it in the show notes.
Have a quiz, yeah.
But that one's super interesting as well.
Yeah, really interesting.
And then there's IBS as well in there. I have IBS.
Interesting. We deal with a lot. You guys all need to go and have a rest right now. Go and have a sleep and just be kind to yourself.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about perimenopause or menopause.
Oh my God, far out.
Yeah, I think that's enough.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. Let's all go have a rest.
Okay, it's time for a rest.
I think so. Okay, until next episode.
Bye.
Be kind to yourself.
The Lipoedema Podcast 2025 is powered by Elegance Lymphatic Care. Lipedema and its symptoms vary from individual to individual. The opinions and advice voiced in this podcast are of a personal nature and used for educational purposes.
Please take away from this podcast what resonates with you, and please see your GP or preferred specialist for diagnosis and healthcare. We are Shell and Tiana from the Lymphedema Podcast. Until our next episode, bye for now.